Hello. It has been a hot minute since I've created a video, and here we find ourselves connecting again. So you get to see me in my cozy sweats wearing my toque because it is there's a storm, a snowstorm happening outside. My window is right here, so I'm looking at the snow coming down here, and it is cozy. And today felt like the right day to record this video, and I didn't feel like going through the process of making my hair look nice and putting on perfect clothes and putting on makeup. So here you get the real me. And if anything, I feel like you have had the privilege of getting the real me since day one. Because I was thinking, if there's any space, any community that I feel like I can be the most vulnerable and the most real with, it is the folks who follow me on YouTube, because this is where I started. And if I look at the videos from day one, from over 2 years ago, things have changed. Oh my goodness! Like the frequency of my voice has come down a few octaves, and to see the like perfection. Like I used to do my hair, and I used to re-record and create scripts, and to see the change from that space to feeling more comfortable, feeling more like myself, being able to let it be imperfect. Yeah, so I feel like this space is the one where I feel like I can just like show up and be me. So before you tuck in and you listen to the rambliness of this video, I'm going to say that it is going to be a little bit rambly because I quite literally have just hit record. I have no script, and I just have a simple plan. And the plan is to share with you the exciting news, as well as share with you what's going to be changing here in the YouTube channel. So that is what is to be expected about this video. So if you don't really care, then I would stop listening and stop watching now and watch out for what's going to happen. But if you're interested, if you're curious, then stick around. So when I first created this channel, it came out of a realization that I had. I was going through my Saturn return, the age of 28, I guess, where I had made a realization after moving through some pretty drastic physical symptoms around panic attacks that I needed to make some big changes in my life in terms of prioritizing my self-care and also prioritizing my deep desire to teach yoga. And not only any yoga, but cozy, accessible yoga for folks who feel like they didn't feel welcome in the yoga world. And we were deep in right at the beginning of the pandemic, and there was no way that I was going to be able to get my way into a studio and get classes, let alone fill those classes. And not that that's what it's about, not that it's about hitting those numbers and filling those classes, but if I wanted to teach, the only way that my mind was convincing myself I could do that was through being dependent on yoga studios, and that wasn't the reality. So I was forced into having to be more creative. And so creating a YouTube channel felt like the best way to do it. So with the help of my friends and family, it was really a all hands on deck type of situation. I created this space. And since then, I have had the pleasure and the privilege of putting together practices for you over the past 2 years, 2+ years, 2.5 years, that I'm really proud of. And there is a library of resources here that I think are really supportive, where there's a video for like any need, in terms of there's a full moon practice, there's a new moon practice, there's a practice for every seasonal celebration, there's a practice for every body part, there's a practice for most different types of like states that you might be in. And there could be this desire to just keep growing the channel and just keep creating and creating and creating more content just for the sake of creating more content, right? Like if you listen to YouTube advice, it would be look at the content that does the best and recreate that and just create more. And if I were to look at my analytics and follow that advice, the most popular video in this space on this channel is a morning yoga nidra practice that has over 4,000 views or listens to it. And I haven't created another video because I am a believer in sinking your teeth into a practice again and again and letting yourself marinate in what comes out of the consistency and the repetitiveness of that practice. So I'm not here to create more content just for the sake of creating more content. I'm not here to, rewrite the wheel or like don't fix what's already broken, whatever. Recreate the wheel, reinvent the wheel. That's the expression. So that's not what I'm here for. I am here to let the content that I've created as a creative to really speak for itself. So what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is there are lessons, there are resources that I have a deep desire to create, again, as a creative, that I've been not doing because of the shoulds that I've been putting on myself in terms of how I should be showing up as a business owner, how I should be showing up as a creative. And I'm not here for that. We're not here for that. We are here for honoring your internal wisdom and following the call and showing up and creating the change that you are meant to show up and create, no matter how much that might push against the norms or no matter how much that's not how you just should be doing it, right? Same thing as we're here for learning how to care for our bodies, learning how to care for our sensitive selves in order to be able to show up as that real, authentic, sensitive self, no matter how different that might look. So all of that to say that this is not a goodbye. It's not what it is, because this channel is going to be changing. The exciting news is that I'm launching a podcast. So that's like the really exciting thing about this video that I really wanted to share. I'm launching a podcast where you will be able to learn more about how to support yourself as a sensitive, creative, and earth-loving soul that stretches off of just your yoga mat and out of just your yoga practice, where we will learn more about somatic practice, learn more about somatic self-care, more about seasonal rituals, and be able to just expand our knowledge and deepen the richness of this community. And yeah, it's really exciting. I'm so excited. I've been wanting to launch a podcast for well over a year. And so now feels like the time. The coming year, 2023, for Yoga with Carolyn is bringing in a lot of changes. The business is changing, where this podcast is really like the beginning of planting those seeds of that new chapter that we're moving in. But I think the reason I'm like hesitating and doing a lot of ahs and ums is because in order to change, in order to create new, there's a shedding process that needs to happen. You need to also let go of things that are taking up that space. And you need, like, in order to be able to let go, or in order to be able to create new, you need to have the space in order to do that. And so some stuff needs to fall away. And the reality is that creating YouTube videos, creating yoga practices on this YouTube channel is one of the things that is having to fall away. I'm not closing down the channel. That's not at all what I'm doing. If anything, the way that I envision the next chapter of this business in terms of this channel is that I'm going to be posting the podcast episodes here on the channel. And my idea is that when I am going to be showing up to create yoga practices or self-care practices on this channel, they will be less frequent, but they will be more potent. So I envision maybe a quarterly hour-long practice that we can really marinate in, or maybe a monthly, or right, like that idea. So creating less yoga videos, but you're going to be getting a fuller me, because in all honesty, I haven't posted a yoga practice here in a long time because it just doesn't fill me up. It doesn't serve me anymore. It was taking more from me than it was giving. And that's not fair to you. That's not fair to anyone. And it's like little simple things, right? It was like, again, like I said at the very beginning, I'm tired of like putting makeup on. Like I don't wear makeup usually during the day, but these bright lights that I use make it look like I'm like so tired, but I'm not. I'm fully here and awake. It's just the reality of being on camera. And also of putting on like the yoga clothes, even though I usually wear like comfy yoga clothes anyways, but it just didn't feel anymore like the right way for me to show up, because my need of teaching yoga has been fulfilled. I have the privilege, the luxury of guiding folks through weekly live stream classes, and I've been doing that for 2 years. If you've been part of the live stream classes, amazing. Oh my goodness. It's so nice to practice together. I teach 5 weekly classes every single week on a seasonal basis. So I'm teaching, I'm showing up, I am serving the folks that I know that I'm meant to, and you are getting supported. I know that you are. And so to show up here and to create yoga practices just doesn't feel like the right use of this channel anymore. So all that to say that I'm saying goodbye to that aspect of this channel, and we are saying hello to what this new chapter of this channel will look like. So you're going to see some changes in the next few months. The name of the new podcast is called The Moonflower Path. The podcast trailer comes out this Wednesday. So that is, I think it's like the 18th. See, this is the reality of being unscripted. Yeah, so on January 18th is when the podcast trailer comes out. The podcast trailer is going to come out on all of the places that you would find podcasts, so on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. And it'll also be released on the channel on the same day, so on Wednesday. The podcast trailer is going to be out for 2 weeks so that you can listen, so you can please share it with other folks, so that you can subscribe, and so that you can rate the podcast as a way of showing your support and getting the podcast in more folks' ears. The first episode of the podcast will come out on February 1st on Imbolc. I chose that day because Imbolc is the seasonal celebration on the wheel of the year that encompasses and symbolizes celebrating the upcoming seasonal change. So it felt so right to bring the podcast out on that day, on the day of Imbolc. And this podcast is especially special because the Moonflower Path is the new name of this business. It feels really exciting to say that out loud, and I talk more about it in the first episode of the podcast. But to say it out loud here on video feels really exciting and also really vulnerable. So thank you for holding me in that vulnerability. And maybe it's helping that I'm in like my cozy home clothes, wearing my hat, to say that out loud. But yeah, so you will see the name of this channel change within the next few months. You'll see the look change because I went through a rebranding process behind the scenes in the fall with the graphic designer State of Sage, who also happens to be a community member. She comes to the live stream classes and she's amazing. And so there's going to be a new look. There's a new name. There is a new website that is coming. And there is also a new online community space that is going to launch in 2023, spring of 2023. What does that mean? It's going to be a change of format as to how we can hang out together. And oh my gosh, it's so exciting. There is so much exciting stuff to share around it. And so the Moonflower Path podcast is really the start of all of that. Also, there is a survey that is out that is directly asking for your input because we are creating this new space, this new chapter together. As much as this business is my way of being able to show up and share my light with the world, it is also your space to be able to tune into yourself and listen to what your own light looks and feels like and how you want to show up in the world. So this is a collaborative relationship. This is a conversation. And I want you to be part of that conversation just as much as I am, if not more. So if you are interested in being part of creating this new online community space, then please click the link in the description box below so that you can share your input on this space, in this space. If you are not already registered for the newsletter, please register. I'm not just saying that just because I want to build up my numbers of subscribers on my newsletter. It's really because that is the first and best space for you to be in order to be able to get access to like the first announcements. The announcement already came out for the new podcast and for the survey to the folks that receive the newsletter. It's the space that I share probably even more intimately and more authentically than I do here. So please register for the newsletter. You will also get access to the podcast episodes first if you register for the newsletter. So there's lots of exciting news to share here and lots of exciting stuff to be a part of, even though things are changing in the YouTube channel world. So if you have listened to this video all the way till the end, thank you so much. I still get like awestruck at the fact that I have a YouTube channel. It feels surreal still, even though it's been over 2 years. But anyways, thank you. I'm really grateful for you. I'm like choking up. I'm really grateful for you. It feels a little sad to say that I'm not going to be putting out yoga videos on this channel anymore. But again, in order to be able to create space for new, some stuff needs to be released and let go. So the new stuff that is coming, again, just to reiterate, is watch out for the podcast trailer, the Moonflower Path podcast trailer to come out next week on January 18th. The first episode to drop on February 1st. Please share your input in the survey. Please register for the newsletter and share the news with folks who you feel will get support from this space. Again, this new chapter is a space for the sensitive, creative, and earth-loving folks of the world. For the feelers, for the dreamers, for the ones who feel like the world is too fast and too confusing and too much, but you have some beautiful gifts and some beautiful things to share with the world. And I believe that it is my job to remind you of that reality, to create cozy and comforting spaces for you to come into, to tap into that magic, to feel held and cared for so that you can then go back out into the world remembering how important and needed you are. Thank you so much for being here. I look forward to walking alongside you on this new chapter of this path, and I will see you on the other side.